Okay, first thing I want to do is talk about the giveaway that I am running for the Masters. And what it's for is the $100 entry. Only 28,000 people in this, and it is for the Millie Maker. So if you win this thing, you win $1,000,000. And if you feel like throwing me a few bucks, let me know. But anyways, what do you need to do? You need to like this video. You need to subscribe ASAP. And then tell me who is going to win the Masters in the YouTube comments below. You will then go into a random generator, and I always show that. It spins everybody, and whoever comes up, they're going to win. I'm doing 2 of those, so it's $200 I'm giving away. But if I get 500 subscribers over the next 2 weeks before the final inning, before I spin the wheel, I'm going to actually pick 5 winners, which will equal $500 giveaway. So whatever you do, it'd be greatly appreciated. Like this video. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, just tell me who wins the Masters. You will get put in the drawing. But I'm trying to build the user community base. And that's it. That is the giveaway. So best of luck to everybody, and look forward to seeing who you guys think is going to win the Masters this year. Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021 Valero Texas Open, my preview show. We are going to do a recap of the WGC with a focus of looking at the information that might help us at the Valero, but for sure, what's going to help us in the future. I'm going to break down the course at TPC San Antonio. We're going to look at the field. We're going to look at everything that we need to look for within players that we want to roster. And we're going to do all that in about 20 to 25 minutes. So thank you for stopping by. If you are new, give me a few moments and I might be able to put a few extra dollars in your pocket. All right, let's do this. So first, a recap on the WGC. Some goods and some bads, right? So I picked Billy Horschel to make it to the finals, and he did that, and he won. My guy over there to the right, Jordan Spieth, decided that he couldn't putt anymore and did not make it out of the pool group, which killed me. And the other one that killed me was Berger. He went to a playoff, lost in the playoff. My actual guys coming out of the Sweet 16 was pretty good. I think over 50% of the guys that I had picked. Victor Perez I had, but I had him get knocked out when he made it to like the Elite Eight. So just looking at overall, if you kind of went with my picks, a lot of the single entries that I got into, I doubled my money up on. In the big game, I think I had like 25 entries, and I think somewhere around 8 actually cashed. At one time, I had one in the top 30, and that was early on when DJ was still in it, Berger, Jordan. I had Horschel, I think Kevin Na, and that was about the end of that. But long story short, not too bad on that side. What I did pull was some stroke gain analysis. So right, we didn't have stroke gain analysis to go off at this tournament, in which after I looked at this, probably a good thing we didn't, because I don't know how much it was going to help. But just to pull some things to give you some information, Brian Harmon, who did actually really well. He ran into Cantlay, who those two led the total stroke gain in the whole field. And just so happens that Brian Harmon ran into a hot Patrick Cantlay. I'll talk a little more about that. But he led the field in total stroke gain. So typically that happens. Typically you win the golf tournament. Some other notables, of course, the guys that made the Final Four. You had Victor Perez, who led on approach. You had Matt Kuchar, who the best thing that he did was, of course, the putter almost gaining 10 strokes, and then it fizzled in the finals. Scotty Scheffler, he was actually second below Robbie McIntyre in leading stroke gain off the tee. And, of course, he made it to the finals. And then you got my guy, Billy Ho, who didn't do anything really great. I mean, he gained, about 4 strokes with the putter. But what he did very well was making putts inside of 10 feet. We'll talk a little more about that. But, ultimately he was the winner. And I actually, for this one, did take some notes and some takeaways I'm going to share with you guys. So what I pulled away from this is something to think about, and you can screenshot this or whatever, but what I will do, make sure going forward, and I had some of this already, but not all of it. So you want Texas players, right? I mean, these are the guys that are local, and due to, either A, being local, playing the course quite a bit, also used to the wind, that's an advantage, plain and simple. And you could see, Dylan Fratelli, who came out and did really well in the pool play and then struggled from there. You had Ryan Palmer, who ran into John Rahm in a playoff to get out of the pool play, but almost won that. You had Scotty Scheffler, who made it all the way to finals and, ended up losing to Billy Horschel. Jordan Spieth, I think, would have been literally, not just because I picked him, but his putter just, he was missing putts that I've never seen that guy miss from, 4 feet, 5 feet. And then Abraham Ancer, who played some college golf there. Same with, Munoz and Ortiz both played college golf there. So anyways, something that we're going to want to look at. You're going to want to look at lefties. The way this course sets up, you can see that Brian Harman did well. I know Phil Mickelson's done well here. This course just does tend to set up for lefties. So something to look at in the future. I'll be looking at rostering more Euros. Again, just to the nature that when they're growing up and they play a lot more match play than the Americans, and also more, to the win conditions. So when I kind of build the teams, I'm going to forget about everything and probably just kind of focus on Euros, Texans, and lefties. And that's probably how I'll go from there, just because of the volatility. There's already a ton of variance in golf, but even in this match play, it's crazy, as you saw. And if anybody ever says there's not such a thing as horses for courses, they're full of BS. Matt Kuchar showed again. So he's won 33 matches at this event. Again, made it to the Final Four. So you can't tell me it was because Matt Kuchar was coming in with any kind of form to this, even though they talked about, he's been working with his, swing instructor and has been finding something and blah, 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 bull crap. He loves this course. It suits his game, and he's very confident on it. If you go to a course, like I here's a good example, played travel golf on the weekends. We traveled to different courses every weekend on Saturdays and played very competitive, for some cash. And I knew certain courses that we were going to be going to that, mentally from the word go, I already knew it was going to be a tough battle. And there was, certain holes that just don't fit your eye. But when I would go to courses that I knew I could just tear up, I always did well. And so plain and simple, if you are a golfer, you understand that. And if not, just note, if anybody ever tells you there is not horses for courses, they're nuts. And what that means specifically is, if you look at a guy's past history at a course and he's always done very well there, the odds are he's probably going to do pretty well there again. Simple. All right. Another thing that I'm really going to look at in the future when it comes to WGC match play, it was already something I was looking at as really good putters. I thought that's what was going to, really kind of turn the tides at certain times within a match. But what I did specifically look at is guys that are really good inside 10 feet. Hence, that's Billy Horschel. And it's so crucial when you've got that 4 or 5 footer that you have to make to either, have the hole, to win the hole, or just to stay alive. That is so key. Again, you can always throw out the rankings in this. You can see Scheffler was ranked 30th, Victor Perez was 31st, and Billy Horschel was 32nd, and Kuchar was 52nd. That was your Final Four. In round one, only 6 A players beat the D players. So out of the 16, I'm sorry, but more matches. But yeah, the 6 of 16, only 6 A players won. I think 6 of them tied and the rest lost. So, and that was just round one. Also, I mentioned Brian Harman. He literally shot 8 under when he played against Cantlay and lost. So that's a great example that you could shoot lights out, but if the guy next to you just shoots one better, you lost. And then you got guys like Abraham Ancer in the first round shot even par and lost 3-2. I'm sorry, won 3-2. So Ancer shoots even par and still beats his competitor. So there you go. It's just at that moment, that time and place, you can you can shoot an 80 and a guy shoots an 81, as you've heard probably multiple times. You can still win that match and possibly get out of your pod. And then last I'll say is 6 of the 7 top ranked players were knocked out in pool play. Didn't even make the Sweet 16. So just some notes. If you take that and you put it aside, because what's going to happen, even with myself, is that you remember certain things about the WGC. You probably remember Billy Hill won. You maybe will remember Kuchar made it again. But that's about it. But all these little nuances, if you don't kind of put them away, you're going to forget about it. And then next year comes, and then, you're kind of right back where you're at to some degree. Lastly, I pulled up Kuchar because I was going to talk about, since 2019 early on, he had like almost back-to-back wins, and then pretty much just his game just started to fade. And, has missed a bunch of cuts. You heard all that crap. But what I thought was more interesting is I pulled up his past history at Valero at this event. And he's something to definitely keep an eye on, because tee to green, he's done very well here. And we saw now again, what can you take out of the match play? He's playing pretty decent, and the putter has been pretty good. And we're looking for guys that can, good tee to green and can make some putts, of course. So he could be someone very live here. He is in the field. So just keep that note to self. Okay, that's it from a match play perspective. Let's jump into the Valero, which that's why you're here. All right, so we are still in Texas on the Texas swing. We're heading over to San Antonio. They will be playing the TPC San Antonio, brought to you by AT&T Oaks course. It was open in 2010, so we have a lot of good stroke gain analysis for this. The architect designer was Greg Norman with some PGA advice from Sergio Garcia, which would be a great fit for this course, but he is not in the field, last I checked. It is a par 72, 7,435 yards. The fairways and rough is Bermuda, so we've been seeing a lot of that coming out of the Florida swing. And greens are Bermuda grass too, but it is a hybrid. I don't think it's a true Bermuda. I think it's mixed with POA and everything, but we're just going to go with, that they're putting on Bermuda grass and call it a day. The player field, not to be exact, but I think it's around 155. Might be a little more, but it's a typical field that we're used to. So we're looking at, roughly 33% to some degree. Maybe 40% make the cut. So it's tough. We got to find those 6-6 lineups because at 65 or ties are going to make it through. Historical cut line is somewhere between over the last 4 years, even to +1. And it really all comes down to what the weather is going to do here. Some events have been won at 12 under, and then of course you had 2019. Now this event, of course, was canceled due to the pandemic last year, but Corey Connors shot 20 under, just lit it up last year. Of course, this is the infamous course where Kevin Na set the par 4 score record with shooting 16 strokes. I think it was on number 9. And you know what? I got a little video I'll share with you real quick. It just kind of give you a laugh.
I have no idea what you have. I don't know. How are we going to count all the shots? I have no idea.
Okay. And also at this course, you've got that number 16, kind of a quirky little par 3 hole that's got the sand trap in the center. There's another course I'm blanking on which one it is, but also has the same thing. Course defense, ton of sand bunkers. So you got sand that's going to line the fairways at places, but really it's around the greens. There is really deep sand bunkers. So we're going to have guys that can play well with sand. There is quite a bit of trees, hence the Kevin Na 16. Now, the trees that run between the holes, not so bad. You can get out of that. But if you blow it way into the deep trees, it's going to be pretty tough to get out or even find your ball for that fact. So we're going to need guys that are really good tee to green hitting. We need distance, and we're going to need guys that hit fairways. And again, the wind blows here. It's a very flat area, a lot like we just saw at Austin. At this time of the year, you're going to have conditions. We're going to probably maybe have some rain, and we're probably going to have some wind sometime between the 4 days. The greens are just a little larger, but they're not complex. So if you look at like TPC Sawgrass or Bay Hill, there's not a lot of undulation. And so my whole narrative with this and looking at who's won this tournament in the past, we don't need the elite putters. We need the elite tee to green guys. And that's what we're going to focus on. And we'll talk a little more about that. As I've been doing, just to give you a quick look from an overhead view perspective, not a lot of water here. You can see a little, maybe a little water comes into play on number 3, a little bit on 5, but nothing that really should come into play. I mean, if you drive it in there, you probably shouldn't be in the PGA. 16, again, on a par 3, there's a little water. You got kind of a stream here on 18 that, could affect maybe your approach. But that's really it. The rest, as you can just see, is just sand. So everywhere you look at these greens, you just see a ton of sand around the green complexes. And that's really the main defense other than trees and wind. If we take a look at the scorecard, one thing is I'll point out here is the front 9 is definitely harder. You have the top 3 handicap holes in the first 9. You start out with a 425, the number 3 toughest hole, and you end with the toughest hole with a 472 par 4. You've got 4 par 5s, and they're going to have to make hay there. Now, they're not all gettable, as in, it's just a write me down for an eagle attempt. There's only one that is a little over 2% where they have eagles, and that's number 14. Excuse me. And then you got, you're finishing on a long par 5, 600 yards. So yeah, and a ton of par 4s that are between 400 and 450. So that's something that we will be looking at and putting in the model. Past conditions here, I just pulled up the 2018, 2019, and just to show you plain and simple, if it gets windy, it's difficult to score to par. If it stays moderate, you're fine. The rough is not that penal. Fairways, yeah, you got to have guys that can put it in a fairway. It says difficult. Everything I've seen at this course, I'm not saying it's not not super difficult, but I don't think it's crazy. It's not where we're not talking about a course that you'd be a plotter. You can let it go at this course. And I think that's about it from past course conditions. The only thing else I'll say is this was, I believe it was like 2014 was the one time we saw where the splits, as in if you had a morning tee time versus an afternoon tee time, really came into effect. I think only 2 guys came out of the morning tee time. It was like crazy winds. Maybe I have it backwards, but long story short, we just really have to keep an eye on the weather conditions, and that could come into how you want to pick your lineups because, if we see that a morning or afternoon the winds are just going to get nuts, and that's on Thursday, right? Then we just want to make sure we get the right draw from that. Now you can't build your whole teams, but you might want to put a couple teams together, or even from a betting perspective. But mostly, I'm just talking about from a DFS perspective. And then past winners, of course, Corey Connors in 2019. Monday qualifier, was the first guy to win a tournament Monday qualify for quite a while. It has been done, but he was, I don't know, it was a 10-year gap or whatever it was. You had Andrew Landry, which is a little, I don't want to say unique, but, he did it. It had not a great history here, but he did it a little different, had a little more of the putter. And then you had Kevin Chappell, who had a great history. That's why I pulled all this up. And then finally won in 2017. And this, of course, was before the back injury that has set Kevin quite a bit back. And so what I highlighted here was, again, what I've already been talking about. When they won this tournament, tee to green, pops, 13 strokes gained, 12. And that's not a shocker. Approach also shows up that's pretty crucial. But if you notice the putter, again, what I'm emphasizing, gained 3 strokes. Landry was kind of a difference, 5 strokes. And then you had 2 strokes, which for Corey, if he's gaining 2 strokes against the field putting, he is going to be pretty live to win a tournament. Also, I think it was the year 2018, Trey Mullinex, which you might not know, but was a great length off the tee, pretty good tee to green, wasn't a good putter. I think he ended up runner up. So it kind of just, again, reemphasizes that, we're going to look at Keegan Bradley, we're going to look at Aaron Wise, maybe even Harold Varner. Think of guys that hit the ball far, are elite tee to green, and not the greatest putters, and they could be the guys that will win this tournament. And that's who I'm going to be kind of focusing on. Some of the courses that I'm going to be leveraging, and there'll probably be a few more that come out of here, but the number one that popped in my brain, and Sergio Garcia won here, this past 2020 season, is, of course, the Sanderson Farms, CC of Jackson, where they play Sanderson Farms. That's in Jackson, Mississippi. Very similar in yardage, par 72. It's got the trees, got the sand, Bermuda greens. Of course, Bay Hill, we just saw, very similar from a distance perspective. Now, of course, the water, is not there where they're playing coming up here. But, I think it's a good comp course. And then we had recently where they played the Vivint Houston Open, which was at Memorial Park, which is a par 70 and a little less yards, but very similar, Bermuda, trees. But the CC of Houston, where they played before all the time, the Houston Open, is a very similar. It's around the exact same yardage, par 72, Bermuda greens. And so right now, off the top of my head, these are the courses that I'm going to be referencing. I might pop a couple more in there as time goes on, but just for your knowledge. And I've kind of already talked quite a bit about this, how you win here. First thing, tee to green. Next, we need guys, we've been kind of flipping this around. We've been looking at working our way from the guys that are really good around the green or on the green, and then, not so concerned working our way back, just they had to be accurate. This is almost exactly opposite. I'm looking for guys that can bomb it, but hit fairways, that are good on approach from about 75 to 125. So the 2 areas that I'll be looking at is 75 to 100, 100 to 125 coming in proximity to the hole. Guys that can scramble, good out of sand, good around the green. If it's calm here, they are going to have to convert on birdies and eagles. Ton of par 4, so we're going to put that in the model from 400 to 450. And then, it's shown here you got to make hay on the par 5s, almost like every course that we talk about. So with that said, I built a quick model just so we could quickly look at this field. And what I did, again, my weightings right now, and this model is probably going to change when I do go into the deep analysis, which I will release tomorrow. Tee to green weighted heavily, driving distance, fairways gain, and approach. That's the heavy ones, plus the par 4s, because there's so many of them between 4 and 450. And then a little less, of course, would be the proximities to the pin from 75 to 125. Got to be good in the sand, scrambling, where I mentioned, and then I got to go ahead and score. And then, of course, putting. But typically, I've been weighting a lot heavier on putter. My narrative, like I said, what I'm going with is that the putter is not going to be as crucial. You put that in, look over the last 12 rounds, no filters. I'm not looking at comp courses or greens or nothing. I'm just recent form, last 12 rounds. And the first one that pops up is Tony Finau, and there you go. I mean, perfect example of a guy elite tee to green and struggles with the putter. You got Brennan Steele. Ooh, let me see in driving distance. So yeah, that was a little. I know Streelman can get it out there, but Steele does not poke it as far. But he does everything else pretty good. So and there is like we saw with Andrew Landry. You don't have to fit the narrative that I'm going with. I'm just going to be leaning, and I'll probably do some builds when I'm talking about DFS and the big games, where I'll build the Aaron Wise, Keegan, Scotty Scheffler, maybe Toy. And Scheffler's a little better putter than those guys. But, again, kind of build some similarities on how these guys play. But it just comes up and it shows me I'm on the right track. I see Corey Connors, who's won here. I seen Charlie Hoffman, who's past winner. I believe that was like 2015 or 16. Who else? So it's kind of funny. You don't see Andrew Landry on this top 20. And again, this is looking at the top 20 out of this field. But I mentioned Harold Varner, good fit. Harry Higgs, interesting fit. Then, of course, I got my favorite, who the model always loved because the guy does well stroke gain analysis from tee to green, but is terrible typically short game and putting. But my Neesmith, and you just throw Norlander right in there. DJ, of course, who decided to play. He was not in the field, and then because he got knocked out in the first round or pool play, jumped in and I guess just to try to work on some things. So note that it would not shock me if we see a DJ not make the cut here, just because I really believe he's going to be trying different stuff, just totally preparing for the Masters. He can come out and win this, don't get me wrong, but I just when I see someone like that get added to the field last minute and know that the Masters coming, I don't think he's so concerned about winning Valero that he is concerned about tuning up his game. Hideki Matsuyama is going to be really interesting. Because this guy fits my narrative to a T, elite tee to green, but can get streaky with the putter, but he's just been so on and off. I mean, where does he fall? If we look, so out of this field right now, he's ranked 41st from a putting perspective, but does well as you see, number 2 in my par fours, and tee to green 17th. So, anyways, interesting. Okay, I think that's enough about that. So as I mentioned, we got the giveaway going. So make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't. If I get to 500 subscribers in the next couple of weeks, that's off right now. Need about 140 some. I'm gonna almost over double. I'm going from 2 picks to picking 5 people to win the $100 entry. Get you in a nice field that is not the 50 to 70,000 people entering. So gives you a little better chance of winning that $1 million. And that's it. Thanks so much for attending. I'll be doing my picks and releasing those tomorrow. And then, of course, on Wednesday comes the sleepers, phase, ownership projections, weather, anything that we need to know before we lock in those final lineups. Thanks, guys. Let's have a great tournament. And hope you guys had a great WGC. It was a profitable weekend for me. Didn't win the big one, but that's what we're striving for. Talk to you later.